Excited over here, Randy.
You're pretty geeked up.
Can you tell? I've been excited all day.
You've been excited since yesterday.
This may be the greatest moment in my journalistic career. This Friday night is wrestling night at AutoZone Park.
That's tomorrow night.
That's tomorrow night. That's right. Wrestling night at AutoZone Park. The headliner of the show is our guest right now. He is one of the world's beautiful people. He is a leader of men and a lover of the ladies. He's a true Hollywood A-lister and the founder of the Hollywood Clique, the most powerful force in professional wrestling today. He's every mother's nightmare and every schoolgirl's dream. He's Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock. Hollywood, welcome to the front row.
Man, I'm so glad to be here. The Craigster boy, I love you. You are the greatest. I am so glad you're taking Bud's place today. The ratings are going through the roof, baby.
Ain't no doubt about it. And they're going through the roof, not just because we finally got shed of Bud Row for a little while, but because you're here, Hollywood. And this is a thrill of a lifetime for me, man. It really is. Now, Hollywood, as a totally objective sports journalist and a public school teacher, I recognize that you are a hero to America's youth. Unlike that idiot Tim Johnson and the majority of Bud Row's audience, you are thin, you are rich, you're handsome, you're a man of integrity, you're a hero. Every hero has an origin story, Hollywood. Let's hear yours. Where are you originally from, and how did you get involved in professional wrestling?
Well, first of all, you did your homework. You're exactly right. I've got plenty of money. I've got all the girls. I've got everything you just said, man. I've got it all. But let me tell you something. I started out in Hollywood, California. Then I moved here. That was probably my biggest mistake. But I did move to the South. But, I've got a lot of fans around here that needed me.
Yes.
So, especially in the wrestling business. And, we started out on Memphis Wrestling. We worked with Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, and a whole bunch of them. And we started right there, and we managed Kamala, the Ugandan Giant.
Wow.
We managed Jerry Lawler too. We managed a whole lot of folks. Bill Dundee. We did so much here in the South, but we've been very fortunate to work with all these guys. I mean, man, right there in Memphis, Tennessee, well, we've did a lot. We've had the Hollywood Clique and a lot of the independent shows. Matter of fact, we've been over in Arkansas a few times. We've seen those people with the tractors coming up, and they come up in the tractors and to the shows and their little 1969 vehicles. But we like coming to Arkansas every once in a while when we come to see people like you.
Thank you, Hollywood. Thank you. As a general rule, what's your feelings about the fans in Arkansas?
Well, I love people like you.
Thank you.
Then there's the people that, a lot of people from Arkansas, I don't want to say nothing too bad, but a lot of them need soap. A lot of them needs to take a bath.
Right.
And, it's kind of a little smelly when we come over there. But we come over there for people like you, not Bud Row.
Right. People like Bud Row drag all of us down for sure. Man, the phone lines are lighting up, Hollywood, as you're talking. And maybe we can work in some phone calls here in just a second. But we're talking with Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock, the greatest thing going in pro wrestling today. Hollywood, besides your work in pro wrestling, you've got an impressive list of television appearances. Conan O'Brien, America's Funniest Home Videos, numerous other top-rated shows. Do you find it hard to relate to people with no talent, people like Bud Stropel?
Oh, man.
Yes, it's actually, I'm so glad you actually took over the interview with me, because last time I got a call from the radio station, it was with Bud Road, and it's probably the worst interview I've ever had. Period. It was embarrassing, to be honest with you. Right. But yes, I have been on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. I was actually a repeat guest. We was on there 6 times. We was on the Steve Harvey Show. We was on MTV. We was on the Tom Green Show. We've been on ABC. We was on the Crook and Chase Show. We was actually on the National Network when it was actually live with Crook and Chase. But we've been on numerous shows, and also we also got some big news. We're going to be on Netflix next year.
Wow!
So you have to stay tuned for that.
Can you give us any more details on that?
Documentary, actually.
Can you give us some more details on that?
Well, it's actually about a Elvis impersonator that was from Tupelo, Mississippi, and he was accused of sending Obama ricin. And it was all over the news. Happened in 2013. It was all over the news. You can actually look it up. Elvis Presley impersonator sitting rocking to the president. It will come up. But he was actually a first guest. We had the Jimmy Blaylock show, and he was one of our first guests on the Jimmy Blaylock show. And they're actually going to show footage from the Jimmy Blaylock show.
Wow.
Definitely be keeping an eye open for that.
No doubt about it.
His name's actually Kevin Curtis, so look it up. It's a big story, really big story. It was all over national television.
Very cool. Our guest today is Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock. It's wrestling night at AutoZone Park tomorrow night. Hollywood is headlining the show. Hollywood Jimmy, you're obviously a Hollywood A-lister with leading man good looks and talent. I mean, you belong in Beverly Hills, where you're from. You belong in Beverly Hills, not a place like AutoZone Park. Why did you decide to focus on your wrestling managing career instead of your acting career?
Well, I love wrestling, and not only that, all over the world, Memphis wrestling is known all over the world. I mean, it's where everybody gets started. The Rock got started in Memphis wrestling. Hulk Hogan got started in Memphis wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin was in Memphis wrestling. Everybody came through Memphis wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go there and make a name for myself, and I did. As a matter of fact, I managed one of the greatest wrestlers ever today, Delicious Van Vicious.
Yes.
Which will be at the Redbirds game. He will be there in person, live and in person. And he's one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling today, Delicious Van Vicious. Everybody, all your girlfriends out there, that's their favorite wrestler to watch.
Yep.
I'm telling you, your wives, Bud Rose's wife watches Van Vicious. That's her favorite wrestler to watch.
Well, he's under the tutelage of the great Hollywood Jimmy. That's one reason why he's so great. Now, speaking of Memphis wrestling, I know that you work in a lot of organizations, but you're working in Memphis wrestling as well right now. First of all, what is Dustin Starr's problem with you, Hollywood Jimmy? Why is he so just eaten up with jealousy of you?
Well, he's always been jealous of me. I go out there, and he tries to tell me what to say. First of all, nobody tells me what to say. No one.
No.
And he's always cutting our interviews short.
The heck is he
He
thinking?
never treats the Hollywood clique right because we are the stars of the show.
Right.
You understand? We're a lot better than, he's got Colton Cage. We're a lot better than Colton Cage. Come on.
Yeah.
Big man Kay Toomer, we're a lot better tan he is.
Yeah.
We're so much better than all the rest.
Right.
We shine, man. The spotlight's on us, the Hollywood clique.
Yes.
But what does he do? Well, he's biased. He's got that Brett Michaels. Let me tell you something about Brett Michaels. You watch Brett Michaels, that egotistical maniac. Can you check him out? He shouldn't be in wrestling business. He's got a bad temper. He's out of control in Memphis wrestling. But guess what? Tomorrow night at AutoZone Park, Delicious Van Vicious is going to shut him up. And we're going to take the Heritage Championship, and matter of fact, I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it around Van's waist. Delicious Van Vicious's waist tomorrow night at AutoZone Park.
I love it. It's Memphis Wrestling Night at AutoZone Park tomorrow night. Well, first of all, you got a huge rivalry game. It's the Redbirds versus the Cubs. That's the greatest rivalry in all of sports. That ball game starts at 7:05. But Hollywood Jimmy, help me out. There's going to be matches before the game. Is that right?
Absolutely. The matches are going to be before the game, before the bell time. And man, let me tell you something. It's going to be great. The 6:15 is bell time on the concourse. Okay. The first pitch is at 7:05, and throughout the ball game, you'll see the stars of Memphis wrestling. By the way, I got something to tell you. I can't believe this. Rocky the Redbird's going to be in Brett Michaels' corner. Of course, I'm in Van Vicious's corner.
Right.
But you know what I'm going to do to that Redbird? I'm going to pluck every feather out of that Redbird. It's going to be great.
Nice. Now, I'll be rooting for you, Hollywood. I'll be rooting for you because your guy, Delicious Van Vicious, taking on the so-called gun show, Brett Michaels, with Rocky the Redbird in the corner. Now, Rocky the Redbird, kids love him. I mean, they go to the AutoZone Park and they love Rocky the Redbird. Do you kind of think it may bother the children, you doing great bodily harm?
I hope it does. I hope we make the kids cry. I'm going to bring some Kleenex. You know what I'm going to do? Once Gun Show gets beat by Van Vicious, I'm going to make sure that he brings them to me. Van Vicious brings that Rocky the Red Bird to me, and I'm going to pluck those feathers one by one out of his head right in front of the children, and they're going to be crying. It's going to be the greatest night ever.
Kids across the Mid-South may need therapy the next day.
I can't wait to see it.
I love it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. It's Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock. The main event. Now, Hollywood, there's going to be matches in the concourse before the game, Redbirds versus Cubs, but the main event is scheduled for after the game. Now, will it be in the concourse as well, or will they have the ring out on the field? How is that going to work?
It's going to be right there in front of the people, right there on the concourse, right there in front of the people. And not only that, let me tell you something. This is why we're waiting to the main event after it's over with. After the game's over, we're going to have the main event. But we didn't want the kids to cry during the event. Mm-hmm. So after they go home, they'll be crying. They'll be having these little snot-nosed brats will be crying because we hurt the Redbird. I really got feelings. I got a heart, and that's why we're waiting till after to pluck the Redbird. I mean, I'm sorry, we're going to pluck every feather out of them. That's why we're waiting till after the game.
That's very humanitarian of you.
Absolutely, and I feel sorry for the Redbird. I really do.
We got Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock on with us. He's going to be managing Delicious Van Vicious in the main event tomorrow night at AutoZone Park against the Memphis Heritage champion, the Gun Show Bret Michaels. Should be the place to be. I hope all of you can go across the river and see the great Hollywood Jimmy. Now, Hollywood Jimmy, you've been, speaking of your many television appearances, you've got Delicious Van Vicious actually on the Young Rock show. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I got him a part on the Young Rock. And matter of fact, that was the highest-rated show on NBC.
Wow.
Is when Van Vicious was on Young Rock.
Wow.
The lowest-rated show on NBC was when Bret Michaels was on the show, Young Rock.
Wow.
I'm telling the truth. That's the truth.
Man.
And then, let me tell you what, this is why the Young Rock is off the air today, because the ratings plummeted when the Gun Show was on there. It plummeted to the bottom of the barrel.
How did that guy even become champion of Memphis wrestling, Bret Michaels?
Well, let me tell you why. Because he hides behind Dustin Starr.
Wow.
He hides behind Dustin Starr. He's the face for Memphis wrestling. He shouldn't be, because he's an egotistical maniac. He shouldn't be involved in wrestling. He's got a bad temper. And matter of fact, I'm going to expose him. I'm going to expose him on everything I can expose him on, because I helped him get in the business. I helped him get in the wrestling business. And I have to admit, I made a monster, and I'm going to destroy the monster this Friday night.
Wow. How ungrateful is he? He deserves everything he's getting tomorrow night at AutoZone Park. I can't wait. I can't wait to see
Sounds kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein scenario.
It sounds a little bit like it. Dr. Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock. He is our special guest here on the front row. Randy, this is going to be the highest rated show in the history of the front row with Hollywood Jimmy. We got a Hollywood
I'm proud to be a part of it then.
I am too. Now, Hollywood, I'm often embarrassed about Bud Stropel. His general behavior, his messy appearance, his lack of personal hygiene. But, man, I'm extremely embarrassed about the way Budrow treats you online. What is that old bald-headed buzzard's problem with the great Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock? I mean, did y'all have a falling out sometime in the past? What's his problem with you?
Well, let me tell you what his problem is. His problem is he don't know good talent when he sees it. I mean, look how he treats you.
Right.
Look how I'm sorry, but he treats Randy wrong, too.
He does.
He talks bad about him behind his back. He does.
He
all the
feel
time.
very mistreated.
Yeah.
He mistreats you. He mistreats the people. He's a horrible, horrible human being. Can I call him a human being? Should I call him that? I don't even know if he's a human being or not.
I don't know if he qualifies.
And not only that, I think this is my opinion, I think he's kind of got old and he's grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
definitely some truth to that.
When you get to that certain age, when you get to that 80-year-old age, you get grumpy like that. It's kind of like our president right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, he fired me, Hollywood.
On air.
He fired me from my Cardinal Talk segment that I do every summer on here. I don't know.
How can he fire you? You does he not know? See, that's where the mistakes are made. That's why sometimes people should not be in charge. It's like he's like a Dustin Starr over there. He shouldn't be in charge.
He has no business being in charge. Well, he kind of got what was coming to him last week. He hired a mysterious guy. I still don't know who that guy was. Alberto.
Yes, I love that guy. I actually watched him online. Knock him out online. I love the video. If people have not seen it out there, make sure you watch the video on. I think it's on Facebook. There, make sure you watch that where he slaps him in the back of the head. This is the greatest video ever.
He just slapped the crap out of Budrow. And Randy
It
Myers.
was so funny. I laughed so hard I couldn't stand it. It was the greatest.
Randy Myers filmed it. Yeah, it was great. But Alberto is out, and I will be back next week on Cardinal Talk. And I'm so thankful to be talking with Hollywood Jimmy today. Hollywood Jimmy, we got a poll today on the front row. Who is the greatest wrestling manager of all time? Now, obviously, the answer is Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock. But if Hollywood Jimmy were not an option, who would you vote for? Who is your favorite wrestling manager of all time?
My favorite wrestling, not counting myself, but my favorite wrestling manager of all time, no doubt about it. I grew up watching him. One of the greatest, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Love him.
He was great, man. I mean, he put Jerry Lawler in his place, kind of like you put Budrow in his place. You know what I mean?
Exactly. The first family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, listen to this. This is really cool. I actually own the first family jacket of his.
Really?
Yes. I have to send you a picture. It's really cool. I actually have the first family jacket Jimmy Hart wore on Memphis Wrestling and WWE, but I was WWF back then, but I actually own it.
How did you acquire that, dare we ask?
Connections, baby, connections.
It's all about the connections, I understand.
And it takes a lot of money. And guess what? I got the money.
You dang right he does. He's Hollywood Jimmy Blaylock, a Hollywood A-lister. He's the headliner tomorrow night at Memphis AutoZone Park. Hollywood, I got to ask you this. I had just one more thing. I was going to let you get the final word about the big event tomorrow night. But one of the highlights of my life is following you on Facebook. Who is this guy, Jason Casey, who's always besmirching your good name?
I have haters out there. I have 4 or 5 Facebooks because you're only limited to 5,000 friends,
right.
And I got 5 or 6 actually. It goes to a limit, and then people can follow you. But I actually have this guy named Jason Casey who's obsessed with me, and there's a lot of people who's obsessed with me.
Right.
But they actually love me down inside. They want to be like me. Mm-hmm. But they dog me on the internet because they're so jealous.
Exactly.
They sit back and they eat all this bad food, and they're fat, and they're miserable in life. Here I am thin. I weigh 198 pounds. Mm. I'm 39 years old, in the best shape of my life.
Right.
Even though I'm kind of hurt right now, I'm if you notice how, I got hurt here a while back at Memphis Wrestling. I'm in a wheelchair, but that's okay. I'm going to get out of this wheelchair. But I promise you, these people need to start treating me with respect online. If not, I'm going to unfriend them.
Yeah, and they don't want that. Nobody wants that. Hollywood Jimmy, one more time, tell us about what's going to happen tomorrow night at AutoZone Park.
Well, make sure you be there. It's going to be great. I'll tell you, it's 6:15 is bell time on the concourse. First pitch is a 7:05. And matter of fact, legend King Cobra is going to throw out the first pitch.
Really?
That's big news. King Cobra,
yeah.
He was a legend in Memphis Wrestling,
yeah.
And everybody knows King Cobra.
Yes.
And then all throughout the ball game, you'll see the stars of Memphis Wrestling. Rocky the Red Bird, I'm going to pluck his feathers out. Immediately after the game, it's going to be the main event, the Gun Show, Brett Michaels versus Delicious Van Vicious.
I love
it. The next Heritage Champion. And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be a great night. So come across, and also the posse's going to be there. I love the posse. one of the greatest tag teams. They're going to be there, and I think Derek King's going to be there too, and Ray, Big John Dalton, some of the rest. Who cares?
Right.
As long as we have Delicious Van Vicious.
That's right.
And he's going to be there, and that's the main reason to be there.
And Hollywood Jimmy. Hollywood, thank you so much for joining us today. Greatest show in the history of the Front Row. Thank you, Hollywood.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Hollywood Jimmy. Mercy. Randy, that was great.
Good stuff, no doubt about it.